Alright, guys, good morning. Or happy whatever time of day it is or night that you're listening to this. Yeah, beginning of August. It's my birthday month. Yeah, a lot of things going on this month. With people I know. And yeah, I'm gonna get to reconnect with some friends this month. Usually that's probably the best part. That's probably my favorite part of birthdays, honestly, is just, whoever's available to make it out and, see them, see each other. That to me tends to be pretty fun. But yeah, and usually we choose to do activities that are, pretty fun. Like if it's my own birthday, usually I'll pick, what I want to do if people want to join or whatever. So that's kind of fun. Like if it's like a specific place to eat or go or something like that might be free. But yeah, I don't know what I'm actually gonna do yet. I'm thinking of seeing this neo soul R&B group that's playing at the Pier the day that I was gonna celebrate with some friends. So that might be fun. And I don't really know, what else to do. That's kind of a local event, but I don't know, man. I'm pretty, I guess, I don't know. That's kind of where my focus is a little bit lately, is music, just trying to get into the music with things. I'm not sure if I'm catching a cold. I'm having the same issue I had, I think, last week, so I don't think this is a cold, because whatever it was last week or the week before, I don't remember what week it was, honestly, but I think it was last week. I had something where, my throat was hurting. It felt like I had a knot in my throat. And then that turned into some kind of, sinusy throat kind of issue. So I did notice, I started feeling that way around 1 a.m. But before I went to sleep last night, I had that kind of feeling, like that almost like knot in your throat feeling. I've started near 8 p.m. back to kind of like a night ritual. I'm not super strict with things. Sometimes I'm definitely going to be all over the place, but just starting to have some downtime around when the sun's going down, and I'm kind of one of those. I like candles and incense and stuff like that, so I'll light just like a candle for the background, and then kind of turn off the lights, and just light a little incense and just kind of reflect on the day, and then get on with the night part of my evening. But I've kind of been liking that, turn on a candle as the sun's kind of fully setting, and then because the moon's been pretty bright, and this time of year I get moonlight directly into my window. And so since it's been a full moon pretty much, just about, it's, yeah, the moon's been pretty bright. So once it gets dark, it's actually pretty bright in my room. And then with the candle added, if I keep the window shades open and the candle added, it's a pretty interesting lighting. And I was kind of like, this is cool. So I kind of got back to like the nighttime candles. Um, I've got a candle that's actually for just burning. Like someone got me this from Africa. I don't know exactly where in Africa, but it's called like a I don't know what it's called. I think it's like called like a Mandela, like Nelson Mandela. I can look this up. I think it's called like a Mandela love bean or something. It's got like some weird name. Um, Let me see. I'm gonna try and look this up because I've had this thing for years. Um, uh, and I kind of took some other strange meaning to it. Okay, it's called Zulu Love Bean. Um, so let's see. Yeah, it's like this. Um, like basically what I thought it was this legend or theory that you know people who possess that it's supposed to bring love into your life or something like that. And I got that from, I don't know if my dad gave me that or someone else in the family, and he's the one who gave it to me from them or something. So let's see. It says the love bean, also known as the sea bean or sea heart, is dispersed by ocean currents, often traveling 1,000 of kilometers to find a new suitable habitat. Um, Basically, the way I can describe it, it almost looks like a piece of wood. Um, like a piece of polished wood, if that makes sense. Like if you've ever had like an instrument um, that's like wooden, or some kind of like decoration in your house that's like wooden, and you know how they polish it and it's like smooth but it's like hard. It feels like a piece of wood, but just like polished. So that's what it feels like, but it's not actually wood. It's actually a like a what they said, like the sea heart or whatever the heck. It's almost shaped like a little heart. Like it's a little flatter on the top and a little like a point kind of up towards the bottom. And this one is basically a candlestick. So at the bottom it has that love bean, and then it has some kind of metallic uh, things. I don't know, like rings, and then it's just like designed almost like beadwork, but it's like gigantic beans that are like about like an inch in diameter. Um, on top, like kind of stacked on top. So it's like a stick, and then there's like a little platform on top. And there's a candle, and the candle, it's a really nice slow burning one. I don't burn it a lot because I really don't want to burn the whole thing down completely. But right now, it's what I use when I'm kind of like between candles, I guess. One of my friends gave me a candle. It was like an LGBT QPOC candle, and I burned that one completely out. That one was scented. I like scented too. Like I'll go back and forth. When that one was running out, and when my tranquility one was running out, I ended up getting these other candles during Mother's Day, and I gave my mom two of them, and I kept two of them, and then I put a bunch of fabric, kind of like African style fabric, in the box because that was her Christmas present, and we didn't do Christmas, so I was like, I'll give everybody their Christmas presents as other gifts throughout the year. And so I gave her two candles. They're each in this little decorated, little cheap kind of tin with a little cap on it that's decorated as well. So I kept two of those candles, gave her two, and then the fabric as well, as the two candles. So I just kept the two. One of the candles I completely burned down. They burn really quick. And the other one, it's still got some wax in it. But, I don't always want scented. And the thing that I like about this other candle, that Love Bean candle, is that it's it burns pretty slowly, but it burns through the middle. I'm trying to make it burn through the middle, and I think I've described this before, but basically it's got, how many sides? Is that like an octagon? I think it's got about 8 sides, maybe 6 sides. I can't tell if it's it from this angle where I'm sitting. Maybe it's a hexagon. I think it's a hexagon shape. Kind of rough. It's not like too like perfected, but it's got some images in the wax that are like dark brown and with some like light brown spots, like black, dark brown, and light brown spots and things. It's like animals, pictures of animals, just all around the outside of the candle. It almost looks like cave paintings, but like animals in the cave painting style. And then, so when you burn the candle, you can see the animals kind of on the outside a little bit as it burns down. So I don't really want to, completely use this whole candle, but I've had it for years. I've had it for, I don't know, at least 10 years. I've had it since I think I've had it since, I want to say since I was 16 or like maybe 18 or 20 or something. So I've probably almost had it for 20 years or something, and I didn't start using it till, I don't know, like way later. But yeah, I kind of like nighttime, evening kind of wind downs. I took the melatonin around 9 and then got up and yeah, and yesterday I exercised in the morning. I felt good. I wasn't gonna do any deliveries, but I ended up going and doing deliveries because I was like, I wanted In-N-Out for lunch, and I was like, I might as well just go and like make a couple bucks. Like, let's go make the money that I'm gonna go use for lunch. And so I just went out like an hour driving, and then sat in the line for In-N-Out and all that, and then brought it home, and that was pretty much the end of my day. It was early afternoon. Around like it was almost like 3 o'clock, and I started just feeling super tired. 3 p.m. This was yesterday, and then yeah, I think it was because of the burger. It was pretty heavy. I just had a burger and fries. I realized, so a burger and fries at In-N-Out without the combo. If you just get a cheeseburger and fries, that's less than $7, guys. It's like 6 something. If you get a combo at McDonald's, it's like over $10. And so I was like, sometimes I do that weekly McDonald's run, right? But I was like, In-N-Out's better quality. Like, yeah, it's still technically, it's fast food, but it's like, it's better quality than McDonald's, and it's like almost $4 cheaper. So like, yeah, what's a little wait? And especially like, it's a little farther away, but it's not like so far if I'm actually like doing deliveries and out driving around. So I was like, let me just go get some deliveries done. But these deliveries ain't gonna pay the bills, guys. Like, this car is pretty hardcore leaking, so I'm gonna have to figure that out sooner rather than later. I just haven't gone to have that mechanic to look at it yet. And then let's see. I'm yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about musical projects. I mean, yesterday I talked more about like exercise and health routines. So yeah, outside of lunch, I didn't have a very healthy dinner yesterday. Well, okay, so I made like a little healthy of a choice. Like, I think my mom whipped up some chicken that had some like a little bit of like tomato sauce on it, and some other kind of, maybe like onions or something from the garden, and then there were some green beans from the garden and some carrots that I don't know if maybe the carrots were from the garden, or maybe they were store bought. I don't really know. But we had that. and some rice. I skipped the rice and just ate the garden green beans and the um, chicken. And then for breakfast, I had some kind of like onions from the garden, more like scallion, and tomatoes from the garden, and just a couple eggs. And I've had this kimchi from, I think it's called Cleveland or something. Let me see. It's a weird kimchi. Um, I love kimchi, but I'm used to kimchi from like Asian markets. Uh, I say Asian markets because out here like they there's a little bit of fusionish, uh, kind of you know products on the shelves. So even if there's a Japanese market, a lot of times you can find kimchi. You can find like Korean liquor at a Japanese market. Like sometimes you can find different stuff. So I don't really exclusively go to the Korean market for the kimchi. Like I'll get it wherever I'm shopping if it's convenient. Um, but yeah, this brand that looks like it's called Cleveland Kimchi. I didn't really think about it when I was, getting groceries through Sprouts delivery one day, but I remember getting sauerkraut, and then I was like, I kind of want some kimchi as well. But I didn't really think to look for the traditional one. I just got whichever one they had, which, I mean, I was like, I don't know what to eat this with, and I don't know what it's gonna taste like. It tasted more like a sauerkraut or like a spicy kraut flavor. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like it definitely, you can tell it has that kimchi essence to it. Like it's got that vinegary spice smell. That I don't know if it's really fermented, like very fermented. Maybe it is. I got the mild one, and to me, it had you could tell it had a little spicy kick. It wasn't like too much spice, but I don't really know what to eat it with. Is all. I had it with eggs. No bread, no rice, no carbs, nothing. Just eggs and the veggies that I cooked with the eggs. Um, I don't really know what else though. It tastes good. Like I ate it. I ate it without like forcing it. Um, so it was good. It was a weird combo though. It felt kind of weird to eat. It was kind of a little bit of a, yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a weird combo of food. Um, but yeah, I ate it and it was pretty good. Um, but yeah, like I was wanting to get into just the musical project. I've got a couple of them. I've got this kind of lo-fi beat that I've been working on. Um, I don't really know what else to say. It's, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I start songs, start working on pieces. There's something that I need to send back to a friend. Um, I either messed it up or did something a little interesting. This tune, I've been sitting on it for like almost a year, guys. Like seriously, like um I don't even know what to say. Like it's just like I was sent the beginning, tune of it, and then I had some trouble with figuring out my um I was having trouble figuring out my um what do you call it? Um I'm blanking, sorry. Uh yeah, I was trying to figure out like where I wanted to go with the melody I'm not much of a melody person. I'm more of a beats person. So I was kind of like, okay, let's get some beats and some rhythm going. Like that's kind of more what I think. And so I kind of made like a melodic beat. We'll call it a bass line if that's what we have to call it. But it's kind of more like a beat. I'll call it a bass line. It's not really a bass line though. It's a line. So I'm gonna kind of see what I want to do with it, but I might. It's kind of hard to think out loud about music without it in front of me, but I mean, I've definitely got. I don't know. It's hard for me to think because I'm like, I want to like build on it. I might just stretch it out, put some effects, and then that's mostly what I want to do is put some effects on it. But I have a library of old, like I'm talking like, how old? Let me see. I have this magazine I was looking at yesterday or the day before, I don't know. Alright, so I've got this computer music magazine. The binding on it says 2001. No, okay. Okay, I see what it says. So it's got 2001 Carnival Rave samples. And then this is Computer Music issue 154 from August 2010. It was back when Reason 5 and Record 1.5 were kind of new. So it had a DVD. They all came with DVD ROMs back then. And you could basically you get free samples, free software, free a lot of stuff. It says applications, instruments, effects for PC and Mac. I don't know if I have the DVD for this. I might. I have a stack of DVDs in my closet and like a small collection of these computer music magazines from like back around that time, like 13 years ago or so. And yeah, like, so it's kind of cool. I just never really work it in, so now that I'm kind of back into, the creation of things, I kind of, I'm not gonna take too much of all my week with musical projects because I'm definitely busy and have things to do, but I still do give myself like one free weekday to kind of decide how I want to be busy. And this morning I've decided that I want to be spending my good morning energy on, musical project, or a couple of them. But it's hard for me, like my attention span, I get a little, it can be a little overwhelming, honestly, because I use software. And the difference for me with, using like a live instrument or software is like the live instrument, I feel like it comes more naturally if I practice. If I've been practicing like piano, guitar, whatever it may be, then when I go to try to just create something, I can just put on a beat or whatever and just like pluck along to it until I find something that I like. Or I might already have like a bank in my head or like something I've recorded that I can just pull from um, when I've been actually like recording like riffs and things. But I haven't been really for years, but it's not like I don't have any. Like I spent a lot of years back then, like 13, 15 or so years ago, recording a bunch of stuff. So I've got this old, like I've got like cassette tape and all this like old stuff that like I never knew where I was going with it, or like I would play with like weird chords or whatever, uh, or try to like hum out ideas, and I would just save them all over places, and like, uh, you know, a lot of them aren't digitized, but a lot of them are probably on my phone. At least they used to be. I used to have apps where you could they were kind of they had like an audio recording feature. Like I think it was Real B or Real B Pro or something like that. And you could record like basically it had tracks you could kind of play along to. And so I used that I think for guitar, but I think you could technically use it for piano or like anything. I think you could switch instruments. I can't remember, but I think also you could record your own like riffs, and you could like record like chords or whatever, and it would kind of write it out in its own. Like it wasn't full tablature and it wasn't full like sheet music, but it was like it kind of had like um kind of like the rhythm laid out, like the count laid out, and you could kind of just play along to it, and I think it would record what you had recorded or parts of it or something. I really don't remember. This is like, guys, this is so long ago. But yeah, it can be a little hard to be patient when I'm jumping into something. But I've definitely felt good about it. That's one thing that the city of LA definitely brings back out of me is being creative, and it's definitely something that I put to the side in San Diego, because I don't really have a community of musicians down there. Like up here it's like I know at least like 3-4 people that I could bounce songs off of and like create stuff with. And I think, yeah, the friend that I have, that I have some friends that are into stuff like karaoke. Some people play instruments, but I've never fully jammed too much, like a little bit, but it was never anything consistent. I feel like the difference with LA for me is that I had consistency. So there was a little bit more, I don't want to call it pressure, but a little bit more, some kind of pressure, like through accountability. Because if I think of it, it's like, okay, I first started playing guitar when I was like in 8th grade, or 7th grade. I don't know, 7th or 8th grade. And I had a guitar since I was like 10, and I never, my dad got it for me. My parents got it on Christmas. It was like a little beginner guitar, acoustic, and I got it when I was about, I say 10, I don't really know how old I was, but I know that I got my keyboard before that, and then my parents were like, why do you want a guitar? You have a keyboard, you don't even play the keyboard. But I think we used to have a piano, an upright piano, that we got free from the church, that was like, it needed to be tuned. It was old, but it worked. It worked enough that I could learn how to read sheet music and play piano as a kid. So I think I did that in like, I want to call it 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, somewhere around those grades. I think I did 2 years of piano. That's kind of where I started, I think. But then the piano got messed up because my little sister stuck pennies in it, like between the keys, and it was already old and had problems, and some of the keys had it wasn't ivory, but like the fake, ivory type coating on the top. It peeled up, and so like each of the keys where those pieces were at on the top became like permanently sticky, and it didn't, like, some of the keys would just stay down because there were pennies in between them, and so, like, you know, you couldn't really do anything. So we had that piano for maybe 3-4 years, and then once it stopped completely working, I remember my dad kind of took it out to the porch and took a sledgehammer to it. Like, not, I don't think he was like angry or bitter. It just, I didn't know he was destroying it, and like it didn't really work. But I don't know, something about that kind of got to me. I was kind of like, dude, he just like destroyed it, and like it didn't work. Like, we had, this is maybe like it had been sitting there for like a year or so. I think by this time I already had my keyboard, and that's why I wanted a keyboard. I think is because either because the piano we had wasn't working already because it had all those issues going on, or because it had already been destroyed and I just wanted to still continue playing. But I got out of playing piano, even though I enjoyed it, I liked it, but we learned like kind of classical style, which was, you know, I liked it. I'll admit I enjoyed it. We did recitals and stuff, so that was probably my first introduction to stuff, was like around 3rd grade, 4th grade, doing recitals, and then we'd have the school recitals. But then I was always going to church too, so we'd always be in groups where, you know, there was music. At least we would be singing music at least once a week, so at least Saturday at church. If you think about it, Saturday at church every week from when I was in kindergarten, at least kindergarten, all the way till pretty much through just about my first year of grad school. So that is like almost every week, consistently singing music at least once a week. I'm not talking like being a performer, but at the very least you're sitting in the congregation singing along to the songs, right? Or hearing them. Because I remember as a kid, I don't think I used to sing all the time. There was a point where I started singing in church. I used to just kind of like not care to sing. But I always listened to music. Like I used to listen to music to and from school all the time, every day. We had our Walkman and everything, and you know, I would just always be listening to music, at least. So that's why I say at the very least we were getting the church music, and then every day on the way to and from school, LA, either radio stations or our own Walkman or Discman with our own music. And then we would watch like those MTV or BET countdowns in the morning before school, and then it was back when MTV actually had music videos. So sometimes after school, if we weren't playing sports or doing homework, we'd be watching music videos. And so even though I would say, okay, maybe I didn't grow up fully musical, there was definitely music in my life on almost a daily basis, listening to it pretty much my whole life. And then playing music, it was piano earlier. That was kind of formally what I was playing. And then I had that little guitar, but other than my dad trying to teach me like once the note of G, from some little beginner's book, he never really taught me more. And then I remember, you know, I always had the guitar there. But I've talked about this before. When I went on my first mission trip in like 8th grade or something in Mexico, we met some kids from Texas, and a lot of them were playing music, and I remember watching friends that I knew playing music. And I think the first songs I learned were, I think, Tracy Chapman, Give Me One Reason, and Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven. I don't think I learned the solo, but I think I learned most of the beginning kind of riffs, the verse, chorus, bridge kind of stuff. And so those were decent songs. And then I learned like Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I used to play the rhythm for a friend that would play One, and he would also play Fade to Black by Metallica. So I would play the rhythm for that while he played the solos. And I remember I learned those solos as well, for the most part. Not the second solo in one. And then I learned Metallica's Nothing Else Matters, and I picked around through the S&M album, sheet music. I think it was like a double album, and then it had like a double like sheet music book. So I got one of the books, and it didn't have all of the songs, I don't think, from both albums total. So I think there's a second book of that I don't have. I still have these things. Like, these are like ancient things, but I still own them. I'm looking at it right now. It's like they usually are on my keyboard music stand or on my desk or something. Like, I moved them over to my desk because I was wiping off my keyboard this weekend. And but yeah, I've noticed this little phases like that. Now it's like, okay, one day I'll clean things off and wipe them off and make sure they work, and then one day I'll like look at my files and see where everything is. Like, I kind of it kind of takes me a while to set myself up to like getting into, working on something, versus before I used to be so deeply into projects already that I would just be in them. And when I was in high school, I think I practiced like every night after school. I would practice, even if it was the same songs. I would play the same things probably till almost 9, 10 at night every night. So I'd practice at least an hour, and I'm pretty sure I did that all through high school. Nobody had to ask me, nobody had to tell me. It was what I did. That was kind of the identity that I formed in high school. It was like, I play music, and I would take opportunities like at church. So I think we first started getting a little more serious with music when we started getting a little bit of independence with our hobbies, like when our parents kind of backed off a little bit and would like drop us off places, or when we were allowed to start taking the bus around LA and stuff. Like, so we used to go to like Guitar Center, Mars Music, and I had a friend in 8th. I think I was in 8th, he was in 7th grade, and he was an artistic, kind of artsy guy who moved into the school area, and we went to the same private school. And family friend, close friend, we're still friends to this day. I'll be seeing him Wednesday. Shout out. But yeah, we grew up together, and formed a band. Probably, I don't know the timeline exactly, but rough timeline. I won't talk about every single person, because there were like a lot of people involved in my life, because if you think of it, I was around the same people all the time. It was always church stuff, so the school was connected to the church, and so there was a lot of overlap with the students who went to the same church, or even different churches, because there were a lot of Adventist churches. So a lot of people went to the same church or the same school, or some kind, or sports league. So like between those three areas, church, school, and sports, we had friends from multiple different churches, and we would mingle. And so if we weren't playing sports related activities, or shopping at the mall, or seeing movies and entertainment related stuff, we'd probably be like playing music or just hanging out somewhere. And so we kind of committed eventually to, I think we did a special music at church once. This must have been like early high school or something. Maybe 8th grade, 9th grade, somewhere around there. We did a special music at church, and we played that song Open the Eyes, acoustic, and we sounded okay. I think we did really well. Then we did a second song, God of Wonders, and we started around that time doing this little punk band. There were 4 of us, I think, and wait, let me see. We kind of had drummers here and there, a bass player, 2 guitarists. I was rhythm. My friend, he was lead, and another friend, he would sing. So usually we were the solid ones, the singer, the bassist, the 2 guitars, and then we kind of switched things up eventually. because the singer went off to college out of town, and so we we had some other friends that had like a non-Christian band that they were kind of trying to be professional, but the guy who was the singer was friends with, he had, uh, someone else that I grew up with was a drummer, and then the singer's younger brother was learning how to play drums. No, he was learning how to play bass and drums. I think he played bass and drums, and so he was learning to play bass and drums, and then uh, the friend who played bass was kind of like, I don't know, at that time, you know, I was kind of like, it wasn't up to me, like it was kind of a vote, but I was like, I liked my friend playing bass, but at the same time, it was like, I kind of did want to give the other guy a chance, but it was like, I'm not trying to like kick somebody out of the band. That wasn't my decision. I do remember mentioning something that I was like, I didn't really know how serious, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I didn't understand what was going on, but I know the person who played bass at that time, wasn't always consistent. And I think maybe for me it was a little of a struggle sometimes because I was like um, responsible for the rides and everything all the time. And, I was kind of like, maybe we could give this other guy a chance, Um, and so we would use the school and the church to like practice, and I think we practiced mostly Saturdays after church. I don't remember if we practiced Friday nights, but yeah, we used to practice a lot. And I remember being pretty like depressed and moody, and like people would kind of mention it like, you don't look like you're having fun, kind of thing. And I think during that time in my life I just didn't notice. I just wasn't having a lot of fun. Like I don't remember if I was in my bachelor's program or what part of school I was in, but I was still in college. And yeah, like it wasn't the most restful. I don't know. I kind of, looking back, I'm like, I liked it, because I just liked playing music. But there was a little bit of like, I didn't feel like I was able to contribute. It was more like, okay, I kind of felt like I'm a female in this band, and there's these guys that just tell me what to play, and like, but I was creative, and I would, write my own song. So I remember there was this one instance where I was like talking to the guy who was like the bassist, and I had written some songs, and it was a time when we were like, sometimes between songs we weren't like fully serious, and we'd like take some downtime. And I remember talking to the bassist, and like we're in the middle of practice, but the other guys are like talking about something else or whatever. And I start showing the bassist a song that I wrote, and the other guitarist kind of like didn't yell, but kind of was like annoyed that we were doing something else. And because I think they were trying to like write a song or something, and I was like, well, I have a song, but I guess nobody really wanted to hear it. And so I was showing it to the bassist, and he liked it, and he was like, yeah, this one sounds cool. And like, so we were like playing along together, and then that other guy like yells at us, and I'm just like, I was a little like bitter, just kind of like, okay, everybody wants to listen to his riffs, but to me I felt like they were a little boring, because I was more into like Metallica and like, like Coal Chamber and like heavier music, and he was more into like country and like I think he got into like Bush and Incubus and um Creed and some kind of bands like that, but kind of more on the, to me it's like not heavy rock, like and he's a singer too, so he was more into like singing and playing. um I wasn't really into singing and playing in public. I've done it before, but it's not really my cup of tea. But I'll do it. I haven't in a really long time. Um, but there's this app called Smule Sing. Smule Sing. Um, and if I can find a parking lot to go practice singing in, I would totally do that again. Um, I just don't have anywhere to go. Like, because I've been singing when I drive around. I've definitely been doing that more. So I'm like, singing along to the radio or whatever. And that's a start, But it's just because I have all this time off. And it's kind of interesting because it's like, usually when I'm busy, like most of my life, I've been super busy up until lately. And like overly busy, I'd say. And I noticed like all the stuff that I wanted to do, like while I was working. I was like, I want to be writing and working on my podcast and working on my music, and like I always had these like creative, like I want to do this, and then I had time off and I was like, I didn't do any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I had time off and none of that happened. So I don't know, I was kind of just like, okay. But yeah, that's kind of most of my musical background, with those bands, and then playing in church. I think once I was in college, we used to play once a month at church as a band, so I'd do that. And then I think there was a point where I was playing at a Vespers every Friday night during grad school or right before grad school. I don't remember the time, or right before I moved to San Diego. That was before I moved to San Diego. But in actual grad school, I used to practice with the singer. We used to do kind of more like Adele songs, stuff like that, which is not what I was used to playing like rock, So I would bring like my Ibanez or my Fender guitar to school, and we would play. And my advisor was a musician. He played flute and clarinet. I don't remember if he played sax, but I know he usually played flute and clarinet, and I think he played jazz. He used to write for Culture Spot LA sometimes, and then he's really into music. I think he was professionally trained in music. I can't remember, or maybe he majored in music. I can't remember, but really cool guy, jazz guy. He was like in his 50s or 60s when he was my thesis chair, and pretty great musician. Yeah, I don't know how he's doing. Like last I heard, he was working at a different university, and I thought he retired, but I don't really know. But yeah, I liked him. He was fun. We had a good time. And yeah, I met some cool musical people in grad school. So I think it was mostly just the move to San Diego. I still used to play though when I first moved there. Like I know at least for the first like 2 years, I definitely still played. Maybe the next 3 years, I definitely played. I remember I used to take my guitar in my car down the street to the back of like this dentistry kind of office, and I would play guitar there because I was like living in an apartment and stuff, and like so I would go play guitar there. I remember when I moved to La Mesa or somewhere else, I used to play guitar there in a parking lot, like behind some like urgent care or something. It was like by a Denny's, and then there was like, if you went down that little road, there was like an urgent care, and I used to sit in my guitar and play there. I'd sit in my car and play guitar there. And then I kind of picked it back up a little bit when I was during the Rona. I started doing that again a little bit. So yeah, I've been kind of more off and on with it since about that time. But yeah, there were probably like a good 3-4 years I didn't really play too much. Because I didn't really have any consistent places to play. Like, I wasn't playing at church every Friday. I wasn't playing once a month. I wasn't playing with a band every Friday night or every Saturday after church practicing or whatever. Like, I didn't have people that I was playing music with. Mostly what I did with my friends is we drank, so we would just go out and drink all the time. And so I kind of substituted music for that, and it was fun, because we got to know each other well, and it was just kind of like a socially open, like, I think there's something about when you kind of routinely meet with people and you drink and you just kind of hang out is different when you're like drinking over dinner and stuff like that versus like when you're at like a bar or a club all the time. But we would kind of do like drinking, but like over dinner mostly, or over meals. Like, we would eat and like drink and go out like that, and then we would do other stuff like drink and karaoke or whatever the heck else we'd get up to. But it's not like we weren't like catching up, because I feel like I've had a lot of friends where we only drink, and that was something in San Diego that was like weird for me. I was like, okay, we kind of only drink, like we don't really like hardly talk or like do anything else. We just meet up, we drink, people want to dance, and that's fun, but it's like sometimes I just want to catch up with people. And I love raves. I'll go to a rave anyway, so like if you want to go to a rave, let's go to a rave. There's one in San Pedro that I'm debating if I'm gonna go to this month. I want to go, but it's kind of expensive, so we'll see. I doubt I'm gonna make it, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna work on these songs pretty much till lunch and then see where that takes me. But yeah, I'm not too sure like what else I'm gonna get up to. I've got like 2 tracks that I'm definitely working on. But I might find some types of samples or plugins or something. Like, I don't really know. So yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say now. I just wanted to talk about, that's kind of the background of things, and then as far as what I'm gonna get into musically, I'll try and talk about that a little bit more. But I've got to do other stuff outside of job applications, right? I can't just like do that all day. Like like I'm still like trying to like build skills and like improve on things, like but yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, thanks for listening.